This man ate his ex-girlfriend. In Indiana on September 11, 2014, a woman named Sabrina Hall called the police concerned that her friend, 46-year-old Tammy Jo Blanton, hadn't shown up to work that morning. You see, Tammy usually called in and gave a heads up if she was going to be late or missed work. But she hadn't, and Sabrina had called Tammy's phone earlier that day and got an answer from a man's voice. The man claimed to be Tammy's brother and said that Tammy was away taking care of their very sick father. But Sabrina didn't believe this, so she decided to call the police to inform them and ask could they perform a wellness check because she was fearing for the worst. Police took this very seriously because Tammy herself had called them earlier that morning around 2:52 a.m. She was in fear of her life and explaining that her ex, Joseph Oberhansley, was stalking her around the house and harassing her. Police arrived to her residence around 3 a.m. and saw Joseph outside her door. Joseph, trying to be all friendly, told the cops that he was just outside because his key wouldn't work and that Tammy would be right there to get him at the door. But he lied to the police because Tammy had changed her locks because they had broken up and she wanted nothing to do with him. She didn't want him coming around anymore. The police, not being fooled, asked Joseph to leave. And once the coast was clear and police thought it was safe, they went home for the night. But what happens next will make you wish they had stayed. See, remember when I said Tammy's co-worker had called and police were taking that very seriously? They went back to Tammy's residence and saw her car outside the house that morning. But her door looked forced in and broken into. That's when Joseph showed up at the door with his hands all scratched up and bloodied. Police quickly patted Joseph down, finding a knife with blood and hair all over it. Police, fearing for the worst, ran into the house, seeing blood all over the kitchen, counters, and floor. But no trace of Tammy anywhere. That's when they noticed that the bathroom door had looked broken into as well. And when they went in, they found Tammy. Her body was dismembered and cut up, and they found plates near with Tammy's meat and flesh on them, along with silverware and tongs. You see, when police came at 3 a.m. and told Joseph to leave, he didn't actually leave. He stayed around the area and started plotting his revenge on his ex-girlfriend. That's when he came back and broke in through the back door. Once he ended her life, he started to eat her brain raw. He then removed her heart, lungs, and other organs to save and eat for later. Joseph was quickly arrested and sentenced to life in prison without parole. The crazy thing about this story is that when Joseph was 18, he had killed his girlfriend at the time. Her name was Sabrina Elder. He then shot his mom and then himself trying to end his life, but it failed. He was only then sentenced to 10 years for that. If only he was sentenced for life, then Tammy would have been alive today. Rest in peace, Tammy Jo Blanton. Now this next story is wild. This man became rich and famous for being a cannibal. Issei Sagawa, a Japanese man, was always obsessed with wanting to eat someone. So he decided to fly to Paris one day and became really close friends with a woman named Renee Hartfeld. But she had no clue that Issei had planned on eating her. One day he invited her to come over his apartment. He took her life with a rifle. And that night he dined on her body. He was arrested in France, but his rich family paid for a good lawyer. Then in court, he pleaded insanity and was taken straight to a mental institution. There he was interviewed by an author who wanted to write a book about him. Once the book released, it became very, very popular, and Issei became pretty famous. France then decided to extradite him back to Japan, and when he got to Japan, he was found not insane, and the charges were dropped. He became a celebrity in Japan and was even very proud of the crime he committed. He wrote his own books, appeared in magazines and TV shows, and he made a lot of money. But this is where it gets scary. In 2011, Vice interviewed Issei and asked him would he ever eat someone again. Issei then said he would, and still had the desires to, and that he would really love to eat a Japanese woman. I can't believe this man is still free. Check out this video I did on the dumbest criminals. They stole and sniffed a man's ashes thinking it was drugs. Go ahead, watch it. They're dumb.